And I know that what I'm about to say isn't going to go over very well with my German audience. Hey guys, what's up? It's Kelly again, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to talk to you guys about some of the reverse culture shocks that I experienced when I moved back to the US after living in Germany. Yes, reverse culture shock is a real thing. In fact, the US State Department website has an entire section dedicated to trying to help people who are afflicted with this. When I moved to Germany, this wasn't the first time that I spent an extended period of time away from the US. If you watch my channel regularly, then you have probably heard me say that I lived in Turkey for a year, and I spent some time in the Middle East before that. So I felt reverse culture shock before. But coming back to the US after having lived in Germany, it had such a greater impact on me for a couple of different reasons. But I just want to add that one of the ways in which the reverse culture shock manifested is that I am way more critical of the United States than I've ever been before. But without further ado, let's get to the first reverse culture shock, which is a positive one. It was realizing all over again just how open and friendly Americans are. And I felt this immediately when I landed back in the US. I could give you countless examples of times where complete strangers have gone out of their way to do something kind. And I continue to be surprised with how friendly Americans are over and over again. I did a video about tailgating in the US where I show a family giving out free hot dogs to college students just to make sure that they actually get something to eat while they're drinking and enjoying their tailgate parties. I did another video about the city of Leavenworth, Washington, which is designed to look like a Bavarian village. And I interviewed two gentlemen who volunteer every Saturday to take photos with tourists in front of their beer wagon, simply to help make people's time there more special, and they refused to accept any of the tips people would offer. There have been times where the kindness that I've encountered since moving back from Germany has actually overwhelmed me. And I don't know if I just took it for granted before or if I'm recognizing it more than I ever did, but it has truly been a reverse culture shock for me. Within the first week that I moved back to the US, I went to a chain restaurant, and I've talked before about how much I absolutely hate chain restaurants, but unfortunately I couldn't avoid going to this one. And the whole experience reminded me exactly why I hate US chain restaurants so very much. But one thing that I was completely taken aback by that I don't think I realized before moving to Germany is just how many people are working at these restaurants in what seems to me like completely redundant jobs. So right when we walked into the restaurant, we were greeted by three hostesses, one of whom took us to our table. Then we were greeted by a server who took our drink order. Then we were greeted by another server who took our food order. And guys, I'm not kidding when I tell you that we were then served our food by a completely different person. Then we were interrupted multiple times by multiple different servers asking us questions like, do you need anything? Can I help you? Would you like another drink? Would you like a refill? Do you want some dessert? And I think that this was happening because there were so many servers working in our little section that they didn't realize someone had just come by and asked us that very same question. And it actually caused me some anxiety because I guess I had just gotten accustomed to the very relaxing meals that you have in Germany where you're not interrupted at all unless you call for the server when you actually need something. But it's not just chain restaurants where I've noticed this sort of redundancy. I've noticed it in grocery stores too. There will be way more cashier lanes open than there needs to be. There will be a ton of people stocking shelves all throughout the massive grocery store, and then there will be counters selling meat and fish and bread and sandwiches, and they will each be staffed by a different employee, sometimes multiple employees. And I hadn't noticed the redundancy in these places before I moved to Germany. And when I was living in Germany, I didn't notice the absence of it. It wasn't until I came back to the US and was experiencing it through a sort of new, reformed lens. And I think that it's connected to our instant microwave society mindset that a lot of Americans have, where they want what they want right away. And so our customer service culture has adapted to this sort of expectation. Or maybe the customer service culture has created the expectation. But since I already brought up grocery stores, I will tell you guys that I never realized how many options there are for every single item in the grocery store. And the first couple times that I went grocery shopping, I experienced some reverse culture shock because of this. I would look to buy some salad dressing and get completely overwhelmed by all of the brands and the types and the sizes of salad dressing. Or I would go to the ice cream aisle, which is literally an entire aisle of coolers filled with tens of hundreds of flavors of ice cream treats, and popsicles. Even the number of milk choices is now astounding to me. I've heard people say that Americans are very brand focused and brand loyal, and I'm not sure I completely understood the depth of that statement before moving back to the US from Germany and realizing just how many options of one item a grocery store will stock to make sure that every customer can buy the brand they prefer. I even had to laugh at myself a little bit because I did an entire video talking about grocery store differences between the US and Germany, and I didn't even think to bring this up because I made that video in Germany and I didn't notice this until I moved back to the US. But it's going to sound like I'm completely contradicting myself when I bring up my next point, which is how much more variety there is in beer in the US. And I see this as a very, very positive thing. And I know that what I'm about to say isn't going to go over very well with my German audience, but that has not stopped me before from sharing my perspective. So I'm just gonna throw this out there. I was really disappointed with the selection of beer in Germany. And I know that the US has an international reputation for having really crappy beer. I get it. I get that people think that all we drink is Coors Light and Budweiser and my college favorite, Natty Light. And there are plenty of Americans who do only drink those beers. I'm not denying that. But guys, our craft and microbrew culture has completely blossomed. It has blossomed into a beautiful, beautiful flower bearing the fruits of delicious beer. In 2018, there were 7,450 total breweries in the US. And by the way, only 104 of those are large non-craft breweries like Budweiser. In contrast, Germany only has 1,300 breweries. So in other words, in the US, there's one brewery per 49,000 people, compared to Germany, where there's one brewery per 67,000 people. The difference is incredibly obvious when you go to the beer section in a German grocery store versus a US grocery store. Some of the German grocery stores that I would go shopping in would have these huge sections, this massive amount of floor space dedicated to holding crates and crates upon crates of beer. And I remember the first couple times I saw this, I was really excited about all of the German beer that I was gonna get to try. And I would skip on over and start looking at what I was going to buy and just realizing that it was a big fallacy because there wasn't really a variety. It was the same breweries over and over again, or the same types of beer over and over again. And eventually I just got used to the very minimal selection of beer available in Germany. And so when I came back to the US and went to a grocery store and saw the beer section, I was really shocked and completely thrilled by the seemingly endless selection of beer to choose from. The next reverse culture shock that I experienced isn't exactly attributed to the fact that I lived in Germany, but more so the timing of when I moved to Germany and then when I moved back. So I moved to Germany in October of 2016, and we all know what happened that very next month. President Trump got elected. And since moving back to the US last year, I've noticed that people are hyper engaged in political discourse. Now, I know that there's a talking point floating around out there that Americans don't like to talk about politics, and I would have agreed with that in a pre-Trump era, but I can't agree with it anymore because I think it no longer reflects reality. So for example, I used to scroll through Facebook and not see a single political statement, but now when I get on Facebook, it seems like my newsfeed is completely inundated with it. My friends and my family members are all posting about ongoing political issues. Politics has even infiltrated the very basic, surface level small talk that I'm having with complete strangers in the line at the grocery store, and I just don't remember that ever happening before. Now, I'm not saying that the discussions are always rational or logical or even sensible, but the conversations are happening, and I was really taken off guard by it. And speaking of the US's current political environment, I know that some of you guys really enjoy the book 1984. And one way to experience this book, even if you don't know how to read, is by listening to it on Audible. Audible has a great collection of audiobooks that you can download and listen to while doing things like driving, or sitting on the train, or walking to work, or going for a run, or building IKEA furniture. Damn you, IKEA furniture. If you go to the description box below this video, you will see a sweet link for you guys to click on, which will get you a free 30-day Audible trial. That gets you 2 free audiobooks to get started. You could be listening to Harry Potter or Game of Thrones, or even the book Bossy Pants written by one of my favorite comedians, Tina Fey. You can cancel at any time, and signing up is a great way to help support this channel. So what are you waiting for? Go to the description box and click on that link. Actually, maybe wait until the video's over and then click on it. Don't worry, I'll remind you at the end. The last reverse culture shock that I will share with you guys is how many beat up, broken down, and completely damaged vehicles there are legally rolling around on the streets in the US. Guys, it's incredible. And I know that before I moved to Germany, I noticed that there were cars that weren't exactly in their heyday, but moving back from Germany, where there is a very, very proud car culture, and also extremely strict inspections required for you to be able to register your vehicle, I cannot believe what my eyes are seeing here. I went to the Pennsylvania DMV headquarters to register my vehicle whenever I moved back to the US, and sitting in the parking lot was a car with a ratchet strap holding the rusted and crumpled hood onto the car. This car was at the DMV headquarters. I've seen cars with duct tape fenders, cardboard windows, entire bumpers missing, doors completely crashed in, and so much more. So much more. It's truly unbelievable what some people are legally driving around out there, and it's scary when you think about it, because what is stopping a piece of a jerry-rigged car from flying off of it when they're driving on the highway at 65 miles per hour? And I'm always seeing cars pulled off onto the side of the highway because it's broken down or it's got a flat tire. These are things that I never ever saw in Germany, and it's caused me quite a bit of anxiety since moving back to the US because of how dangerous it is. And I can think of a few reasons why this is happening in the US, one of those reasons being that a lot of states don't require any sort of inspection for a vehicle to be registered, and then some more states only require an emissions test and not a safety test. And then another reason I can think of is just how horribly maintained our roads are. Seriously guys, there are potholes and huge cracks throughout our highways. I'm actually surprised I haven't gotten a flat tire of my somewhat brand new vehicle. And why do we have such poor infrastructure? Because, well, taxes. And I guess that Domino's can't be responsible for paving over every pothole. Alright guys, that's all I've got for you today. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you get notified every single time I post a new video. And don't forget to go and check out that link to get your free 30-day Audible trial. It is totally worth it. I have been able to read or consume so many more books because of being able to listen to them while doing other things like the dishes. I don't know why that came to my mind, maybe because I have a sink full of dishes I need to get to after this. So anyway, go and check it out, and thank you so much to my patrons for all the support you've given me, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! Hey guys, make sure you find me on Instagram at Kelly Does Her Thing. I'm always posting stories on there that show bits of US culture, German influence in the US, or glimpses of my life in DC. I'll even post different things to supplement the content of my videos, so go find me on Instagram.